While growing up at home, I had the honor and privilege of helping my mother perfect her lie detection skills. She would say, "Look me in the eyes." And she could tell. Was I sad? Was I angry? Was I honest? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, if you would have been with me in July 1978 in Korea, you would have seen half of me. Basically 140 pounds instead of 280. 18 years old, pimply-faced kid away from home for the very first time. Couldn't be any trouble at all, could it? But you would have also been with me when I saw the most beautiful woman in the world. And at 18, I knew beauty. She was about 5 foot tall, black hair. When she looked at me, I could see those brown eyes. And then, did you see it? She smiled at me. She smiled at me. I have to meet this lady. "Hi, my name is Clark." She looked at me and said, "Clark?" "No, Clark." She pointed on the wall and said, "Clark?" We settled on Superman. For 3 months, we dated. We had many, many hot dinners. Them red peppers are killers. And from time to time, tears were shed. "Clark, them peppers not that hot." And we took many long walks, holding hands. A little romantic. But even though there was a communications barrier, we learned more and more about each other. And I knew in my heart of hearts that she was the one. Young, from the moment I saw you, I knew you were special. When you smiled at me, you stole my heart. Will you marry me? It was as if her eyes screamed at me, "You're too immature." I'm 18, pimply-faced kid. How mature do you want me to be? Those darn walks. She learned too much about me. I knew the words, "I love you," but I didn't know the meaning of what she was looking for in her language. Natungshin, saranghae. I love you. Have you ever been struck to the very core of your being by a relationship where you felt mortally wounded and you look at the options? I can give up. I can fight. I seriously considered the give up. The road with less pain. But then I remembered another look in her eyes that I had seen earlier. A tender, loving look when we met. And I decided to fight. 2 months later, she took me to her mother and father's home. I was way outside my comfort zone. She walked me through the house, sat me down in a back room with 20 other people that I didn't know, speaking a language I didn't understand. I started feeling like a Toastmaster where all eyes were on me. Someone in the crowd started singing. Young's brother sat down next to me. He says, "Clark, can you sing?" Like a screeching cat. There was only one song that I could mimic, if you will, that I'd heard on the radio. was Sarang Hey. It's a love song. So I sung it, and fortunately, 20 of my best new friends helped move that song along. I have no idea why I found myself looking at Young's father. At the very moment that her mother came walking into the room. Then there was a flash in his eye, just a very little flash. He's looking at her like she's a teenager and they just met. They're both in their 60s and they're looking at each other like teenagers. My first thought was, get a room. And then I realized that's true lifelong love. They've been married for over 40 years and they're still looking at each other like teenagers. I want that life. If I'd have given up, I would have missed that moment. What moments have you missed? That evening, I asked again, Young, this afternoon, I saw something in your father's eyes, and it hit me deeply. I want that life for us. Will you marry me? Did you see that? It was in her eyes. She said yes. I don't know what she said. I didn't hear it, but her eyes said yes. She married me. Over the years, we've had many, many troubles that could have torn us apart. But there were two inevitable facts. One, looking in each other's eyes, we could see that we were fighting for each other, not from each other. Two, she was always right. There are times when we look at it and we may feel that the less painful is the better road for us to travel. I ask you, before you jump on that road, take the opportunity to look in the eyes. Mr. Toastmaster.